The selection. The massive ship of the Galactic Syndicate appeared without warning in Earth's orbit on a quiet Tuesday morning. Unlike the chaos depicted in human science fiction, there were no military responses, no mass panic. The ship simply arrived, positioned itself over the North Pacific, and sent a single cryptic message to every communications device on the planet simultaneously. Evaluation protocol initiated. Dr. Maya Chen was neck-deep in ocean research when her tablet chimed with the alien message. At 38, she had dedicated her life to understanding Earth's deepest ocean trenches and the resilient life forms that thrive there. Her colleagues called her brilliant. Her family called her obsessive. Either way, her ability to conceptualize pressure systems and adaptive biology had revolutionized deep-sea exploration technology. When the purple scanning beam swept over her research vessel, she barely noticed, too absorbed in analyzing anomalous bacterial readings from samples collected at 11,000 meters. Halfway across the world, Dant Williams was fixing a broken satellite dish on a remote outpost in the Namibian desert. At 42, his hands told the story of a life spent building, breaking, and rebuilding. A former military engineer with no formal education beyond high school, Dant possessed an intuitive understanding of systems and structures that had saved countless lives during his service. When the scanning beam passed over him, he glimpsed it from the corner of his eye, but dismissed it as heat distortion. In Mumbai, Priya Sharma was debugging code when her screens flickered with the alien message. At 29, she was already legendary in underground hacking communities for cracking supposedly unbreakable security systems, not for profit or sabotage, but simply to expose flaws and push the boundaries of computational thinking. Her brain operated on multiple tracks simultaneously, seeing patterns where others saw only chaos. The scanning beam registered as a momentary power fluctuation on her equipment. Javier Reyes was halfway up a cliff face in the Andes when his climbing partner's radio crackled with the message. At 34, the former pararescue specialist had survived situations that had killed others, developing an unparalleled ability to improvise solutions with limited resources and under extreme pressure. His situational awareness and quick decision-making had earned him the nickname the Fixer among his peers. The scanning beam washed over him unnoticed as he calculated his next handhold. None of them paid much attention to the news reports that followed, speculation about alien intentions, experts debating first contact protocols, politicians making grandiose statements. They all had more immediate concerns. 24 hours later, Maya's research vessel was approached by a sleek craft that emerged from the ocean rather than descending from the sky. Dante was visited by figures who appeared from the shimmering heat of the desert. Priya's apartment was entered by beings who seemed to step through her solid wall. Javier was retrieved by a craft that matched the coloration of the Andean sky so perfectly it was nearly invisible. All were given the same message: you have been selected for the Syndicate's proving ground. Participation is non-negotiable. They met for the first time in a crystalline chamber aboard the enormous Syndicate vessel. Maya examined their surroundings with scientific curiosity. Dante assessed the structural integrity of the transparent walls. Priya's eyes darted around seeking patterns in the alien design, and Javier calmly identified potential exit routes, each processing the situation through their unique perspectives. "I assume you're all as confused as I am," Maya finally said, breaking the silence. Dante shrugged. "Been in weirder situations, though usually on Earth." The message syntax was inconsistent with standard communication protocols, Priya observed. Either a translation issue or deliberately vague. 4 of us, 4 corners of the world, 4 different skill sets. Javier noted. This wasn't random. Before they could continue, a portion of the wall dissolved, revealing a towering alien with iridescent scales and multiple limbs that moved with fluid grace. Behind it stood several other aliens of visibly different species, some vaguely humanoid, others utterly foreign in design. "I am Nexus Coordinator Veshtal," the first alien announced, its voice resonating directly in their minds rather than through the air. You represent Earth in the Proving Ground Challenge. 53 spacefaring civilizations have been invited to participate. Participate in what exactly? Maya asked, her scientific mind already cataloging the alien physiologies before her. The Syndicate requires solutions to a cosmic-level threat. Each world offers its best problem solvers. The species that provides the most effective solution earns protection status and technology exchange. Veshtal's inner eyelids flickered in what might have been amusement. Though we expect little from your kind, humans are remarkably provincial. A shorter alien with crystalline features stepped forward. The Orvillian Collective questions the inclusion of pre-FTL species. Humans have barely managed limited solar exploration. The Syndicate protocols value neural architecture and problem-solving methodology over technological advancement. Veshtal responded dismissively. All selections are final. What exactly is this cosmic threat? Dant asked, practical as always. Veshtal gestured with 3 limbs simultaneously, and the chamber filled with a holographic display of swirling energy patterns surrounding a distortion in space. A quantum anomaly has formed at the intersection of 7 major trade routes. It destroys all matter and energy it contacts and is expanding. Conventional approaches have failed. Unconventional thinking is now required. The humans exchanged glances. This was definitely not what any of them had expected when they woke up that morning. You will be transported to the Proving Ground station orbiting the anomaly, Veshtal continued. All participants have equal access to observation data and basic resources. You have 30 solar cycles to develop a solution before the anomaly reaches critical expansion. And if no one solves it, Javier asked, then numerous worlds face extinction, Veshtal stated simply, including, eventually, Earth. The transport to the Proving Ground station was instantaneous, a disorienting shift that left them standing in a vast, dome-shaped structure filled with representatives from dozens of alien species. Some worked at complex instruments, others huddled in discussion groups. Many stared at holographic models similar to what Veshtal had shown them. All activity paused momentarily as the humans arrived. Then came a wave of what could only be described as dismissive alien chatter. Those are humans. A being with multiple eyes encircling its spherical body remarked. Their brains are barely evolved beyond their primate ancestors. The Syndicate grows desperate to include such primitives, another alien with a translucent body commented. They still use combustion engines. Perhaps they're here as control subjects, suggested a tall, insectoid creature, to demonstrate how ineffective undeveloped species are at complex problem-solving. Maya stepped forward, refusing to be intimidated. We'd like to see the raw data on the anomaly. This request was met with alien laughter, a dissonant chorus of clicks, hums, and whistles. A reptilian being with an elaborate collar of what appeared to be technology approached them. I am Scientist Director Krell of the Vordax Federation. I've been assigned as your mentor. The pause made it clear this was considered a punishment rather than an honor. Follow me. I will show you to your allocation. Their allocation turned out to be a small chamber at the far edge of the facility, furthest from the prime observation platforms. Inside was basic equipment that looked outdated even by human standards. These are data terminals, Krell explained condescendingly, pointing to simplistic screens. They provide limited access to anomaly measurements. Your species' cognitive limitations have been accounted for in the interface design. How thoughtful, Dante muttered. You may observe, but do not interfere with the real work, Krell continued. The Vordax have merely completed our solution model. When we succeed, perhaps we will allow humans to become a client species under our protection. After Krell left, Priya immediately began exploring the terminal system. Their security is impressive but oddly structured, like they've optimized for completely different threat models. Can you get us better access? Maya asked. Priya's fingers were already dancing across the interface. Give me time. This is alien tech, but code is still code. Patterns are still patterns. Javier inspected their chamber. We're deliberately isolated here. Limited visibility, minimal resources. They're setting us up to fail. So what else is new? Dant said with a grim smile. Let's see what we're really dealing with. Within hours, they had established a basic understanding of their situation. The anomaly was a quantum fracture in space-time, causing gravimetric distortions that destroyed anything that approached. Various alien teams were developing shields, containment fields, and dispersal methods, all based on highly advanced technology. We're way out of our league, Maya admitted, studying the complex physics at play. The most advanced human theories barely touch the edge of what we're seeing here. Maybe that's our advantage, Javier suggested. We're not constrained by their established methodologies. Exactly, Priya agreed, looking up from her terminal. They're all trying variations of the same approaches. And they're all failing. Because they're fighting the anomaly, Dant said suddenly, staring at the holographic representation. Look at how it reacts to each attempt. They hit it with energy, it absorbs and grows. They try to contain it, it breaks through. They're treating it like an enemy. Maya moved closer to the hologram. What if it's not a threat to be eliminated, but a natural phenomenon to be understood, like a hurricane or underwater pressure system? You don't fight a hurricane, Javier nodded. You work with its patterns. Nature always seeks equilibrium, Maya continued, excitement building in her voice. What if the anomaly is actually trying to stabilize itself, and every attempt to shut it down is actually preventing that natural correction? The humans looked at each other, a spark of understanding passing between them. They might be technological primitives compared to the other species, but they understood something the others had overlooked. Nature doesn't always need to be conquered. Sometimes it needs to be guided back to balance. The challenge, dawn aboard the Proving Ground station, was an artificial affair, a gradual brightening of ambient light simulating the diurnal cycles most organic species evolved with. The humans had worked through the night, Maya and Priya deep in calculations, while Dante and Javier constructed a physical model from materials they'd managed to scrounge from station supply dispensers. Your plan is fundamentally flawed, Scientist Director Crowell announced as he entered their chamber, mandibles clicking with what the humans had come to recognize as derision. My colleague observed your data requests. You're treating the anomaly as a natural phenomenon rather than a destructive aberration. Because that's what it is, Maya replied, not looking up from her calculations. A self-correcting system that's been thrown into chaos. Primitive thinking, Krell dismissed. Typical of a species that still worships weather formations and geological features. Dant straightened from the model he was assembling. We don't worship hurricanes, but we know better than to shoot nuclear missiles at them. Krell's scales flushed with either amusement or irritation. The humans couldn't tell which. The Central Council presentation begins in 6 cycles. The most promising solutions will receive resource allocation for implementation. His compound eyes flicked over their makeshift equipment. I wouldn't expect an invitation. After he left, Javier turned to the others. We need to get into that presentation. Already on it, Priya said, fingers flying across her terminal interface. Their scheduling system has unique vulnerabilities. They conceptualize time differently, which creates interesting security gaps. Even if we get in, they won't take us seriously, Maya pointed out. We need proof of concept. Then let's get some, Dant replied, holding up a small device he'd constructed. This should let us gather direct readings from the anomaly's boundary layer. How? Javier asked, examining the crude-looking instrument. Dant grinned. We're going to have to steal a shuttle. Stealing turned out to be an overstatement. Priya discovered that the station's automated systems didn't recognize humans as authorized users, but also didn't register them as unauthorized. They existed in a security blind spot, allowing them to access a small maintenance craft as long as no alien operators were present to stop them. The station's defenses won't let us get anywhere near the anomaly, Maya warned as they boarded the compact vessel. Every approach is tightly controlled. They're watching the main vectors, Javier said, sliding into the pilot's seat with practiced ease. But they're not watching underneath. Underneath a spatial anomaly, Priya questioned. Space-time has dimensions we don't normally perceive, Maya realized, following Javier's thinking. The aliens are monitoring approaches along the normal three-dimensional axis, but the anomaly itself exists partially outside those dimensions, Dante added, creating a blind spot they're not considering. Javier nodded. Exactly. We go in through the basement. The shuttle's controls were alien but surprisingly intuitive, designed for accessibility across species. Javier guided them away from the station in a trajectory that appeared to be heading away from the anomaly. Once clear of the immediate sensor perimeter, he executed a complex series of maneuvers that brought them to a position directly below the anomaly in relation to the station's frame of reference. Amazing, Maya breathed, staring through the view screen at the swirling distortion. Up close, the anomaly was beautiful, a fractal pattern of energy that pulsed with colors that seemed to exist just beyond normal human perception. It's not random at all. There's a pattern. Like a heartbeat, Priya observed, watching the energy flows. Or a breathing cycle. Dante activated his device, extending a sensor probe toward the anomaly's outer boundary. Let's see what's really happening in there. The readings that came back confirmed their hypothesis. The anomaly wasn't a destructive force. It was a dimensional pressure valve, releasing energy that had built up between realities. The alien attempts to contain or disperse it were actually preventing its natural cycling process, causing it to grow more unstable with each intervention. It's trying to release pressure, but they keep sealing the valve. Maya explained as they hurried back to the station with their data. Like capping a geyser. Or compressing a spring, Dante added. More pressure just means a bigger explosion when it finally breaks. They returned to find their chamber in disarray. Equipment moved. Data terminals reset. We've been searched, Javier noted, examining subtle signs of intrusion. And sabotaged, Priya confirmed, checking her systems. Someone deleted our local data copies. Good thing I kept backups, Dan said, producing memory crystals he'd hidden in his boot. Old military habit. Never keep all your intel in one place. The Central Council presentation was already underway when they arrived, using the access authorizations Priya had engineered. Representatives from a dozen advanced civilizations stood before a panel of syndicate officials, presenting their solutions with confidence born of technological superiority. The Vordax proposed an energy-absorbing containment field. The crystalline Orvillians suggested a dimensional sealing procedure. The insectoid Kizest outlined a plan to create a counter-anomaly that would theoretically neutralize the original disruption. All solutions approached the anomaly as a problem to be eliminated. None considered it might be serving a necessary function. These approaches will accelerate the destabilization, Maya whispered as they watched from the back of the chamber. They don't understand what they're dealing with. The tall, many-armed syndicate official, different from Vestal, but with similar authority, noticed their presence. The human contingent wishes to observe. How? Curious. Actually, we have a solution to propose. Maya stepped forward, ignoring the dismissive murmurs that rippled through the assembled aliens. You've been on the station for less than a full cycle, the crystalline Orvillian representative objected. You've barely had time to understand the basic parameters. Sometimes fresh eyes see things differently, Dant replied. The syndicate official gestured them forward. The protocols permit all selected species to present. Proceed, humans. Maya activated their data crystal, and a holographic display appeared, showing not just the anomaly itself, but the dimensional pressures surrounding it. The anomaly isn't a threat to be eliminated. It's a natural release valve for transdimensional energy buildup. Primitive anthropomorphizing of quantum phenomena, Krell interrupted. They're applying organic metaphors to physical processes they don't understand. Actually, we do understand, Priya countered. All systems seek equilibrium. This one is no different. Your attempts to contain or disperse the anomaly are preventing it from completing its natural cycle. Dunt stepped forward, manipulating the hologram to show their proposed solution. Instead of fighting it, we need to help it finish what it's trying to do. Their plan was simple in concept, radical in execution. Rather than trying to close the anomaly, they proposed creating a series of smaller, controlled ruptures along its perimeter, like fire breaks around a wildfire or relief valves on a pressure tank. These controlled ruptures would allow the transdimensional energy to discharge gradually rather than catastrophically. "This is madness," the insectoid representative chittered. "You propose creating more ruptures. You'll trigger cascade failure." "Only if the ruptures are random," Javier explained. "These would be precisely positioned to work with the anomaly's natural energy flow." The chamber erupted in overlapping alien voices, most dismissive, some curious, none fully supportive. "Silence," the syndicate official commanded, and the room instantly quieted. "The human solution is unconventional. However, it aligns with certain theoretical models within syndicate archives." This revelation caused visible surprise among the alien delegations. "We will review all proposals and announce resource allocation in 3 cycles." As they left the chamber, they found themselves approached by a small group of aliens, representatives from species who had remained silent during the presentations. "Your approach is interesting," said a being composed of what appeared to be luminous gas contained within a field of energy. "We have observed similar patterns in stellar formation processes. Our ancestors used similar techniques to stabilize seismic events on our homeworld," added a stocky, amphibious creature, "creating controlled releases to prevent major tectonic shifts." "You might be primitives," a third alien with a segmented exoskeleton acknowledged grudgingly, "but your thinking is less constrained by conventional quantum mechanics." "We're forming a cooperative implementation team," the gaseous being explained. "Different perspectives, unified approach. Would you join us?" The humans exchanged glances. They had come prepared for opposition, not collaboration. "We be honored," Maya answered, recognizing the importance of this first alliance between humans and alien species. That night, as they worked with their new allies, they discovered something unexpected about the station itself. Priya, whose constant exploration of the station's systems had become second nature, noticed unusual power fluctuations coinciding with the presentations. "These energy signatures don't match any operational patterns," she observed, showing the others. "They're directed toward the anomaly, not away from it." "Someone's deliberately agitating the anomaly," Javier asked, immediately alert. "Or studying it in ways they don't want others to know about," Maya suggested. "Either way," Dant said grimly, "this changes things. We're not just solving a natural phenomenon. We're dealing with deliberate interference." The question was, who among the dozens of alien species had their own agenda for the anomaly? And would their plan for controlled release still work against an artificially manipulated quantum disruption? As the implementation vote approached, the humans realized they weren't just fighting against prejudice and technological limitations anymore. They were caught in a much more complex game of interspecies politics and hidden agendas, one where the stakes included not just Earth's standing in the galactic community, but potentially the survival of multiple star systems. And somewhere on the station, someone was playing a very dangerous game with forces they didn't fully understand. The triumph. The implementation vote came sooner than expected, a sudden announcement that sent the various alien delegations scrambling to finalize their proposals. The humans and their small coalition of unconventional thinkers huddled in a secondary observation lab, making last-minute adjustments to their plan. "This acceleration of the timeline is suspicious," noted Razix, the gaseous entity who had become their strongest alien ally. "Standard syndicate protocols allow for thorough peer review before implementation decisions. The anomaly has increased its expansion rate by 27% in the last cycle," explained Luntil, the amphibious alien, studying real-time measurements with all 3 of her eyes. "Parameters have shifted beyond projected models." "That's not possible," Maya said, rechecking the data. Natural quantum fluctuations don't accelerate in perfect geometric progressions. This is artificial. Someone's weaponizing it, Dant concluded grimly. Or experimenting with it, Priya countered. These patterns resemble systematic testing, not simple aggravation. The why doesn't matter right now, Javier interrupted, ever focused on the immediate problem. Can our solutions still work under these new conditions? Maya ran quick calculations through their simulation. Yes, but the controlled rupture points need to be recalibrated. We'll need more of them, positioned with even greater precision. And we'll need control of the primary emission array to implement them, Priya added, which we definitely won't get through the official vote. Javier smiled slightly. Then we go with Plan B. You have a Plan B? Asked Keswick, the insectoid alien who had joined their coalition despite initial skepticism. Humans always have a Plan B, Dant said, sharing a knowing look with the others. And usually a C through F as well. The Central Council chamber was filled to capacity for the implementation vote. The syndicate officials occupied the raised platform at the front, their iridescent scales reflecting the light from the holographic displays, showing the increasingly unstable anomaly. The crisis has accelerated beyond acceptable parameters, announced Chief Coordinator Veshtal, who had returned to oversee the proceedings. The syndicate has evaluated all proposed solutions and will now allocate resources to the approach with highest probability of success. The humans stood with their coalition members near the back of the chamber, watching intently. Based on established quantum mechanics principles and technological feasibility assessments, Veshtal continued, implementation resources are allocated to the Vordax containment field. Proposal. Scientist Director Krell's mandibles clicked with satisfaction as he stepped forward to accept the authorization. The humans exchanged glances but remained silent. Secondary resources are allocated to the Orvillian dimensional sealing procedure as a contingency measure, Veshtal added. All other delegations will provide support as directed. Maya leaned close to her companions. Execution in 3, 2, 1. Precisely on cue, the chamber's lighting flickered, and the holographic displays momentarily distorted. No one paid much attention to this minor glitch, except the humans, who used the brief distraction to slip out through a service entrance Priya had identified during her exploration of the station's systems. Did it work? Dant asked, as they hurried through maintenance corridors. Priya checked a small device she'd constructed from components borrowed from their alien allies. Perfect. The system accepted my automated subroutines. We have exactly 12 minutes of looped security feeds before they detect the intrusion. Their destination was the primary emission array, a massive installation on the station's outer ring that was normally used to project containment fields around the anomaly. Under Vordax control, it would be used to create a massive energy suppression field. Under human control, it would serve a very different purpose. The Vordax will begin setup procedures immediately, Javier noted as they reached the array control chamber. We don't have much time. Can you really reconfigure an alien emission array designed by species thousands of years more advanced than humans? Lontil asked, genuine curiosity in her multi-tone voice. No, Maya admitted. Not fully. But we don't need to. We just need to change its target coordinates and energy distribution pattern, Dant explained, already working on the physical components while Priya tackled the control systems. The basic technology is still just an energy projector. Physics doesn't change, even if the engineering does. Their alien allies stood watch while the humans worked, silently impressed by how quickly these supposedly primitive beings adapted to technology far beyond their development level. The humans weren't trying to understand everything about how the array worked. They were simply identifying the core functions necessary for their purpose and reconfiguring those specific elements. Incoming, Keswick warned, his antennae quivering. Security drones. Javier moved to the door. How many? 6. Standard enforcement configuration. I'll handle them. Buy me something that makes noise. Razix extended a tendril of his gaseous form, manipulating a panel that produced a small handheld device. Atmospheric harmonizer. It will create significant auditory disruption. Javier nodded thanks and slipped out into the corridor before the drones arrived. Inside the control chamber, Maya and Dante had dismantled key components of the array's targeting system, while Priya bypassed the main security protocols. "We're at 70% reconfiguration," Priya reported. "But the system is fighting me. There's an AI subroutine I didn't anticipate." "Can you bypass it?" Maya asked, hands deep in the array's calibration mechanism. "Not quickly. But maybe." Priya's fingers flew across the alien interface. "I can make it think our modifications are part of its own optimization process." Outside, they heard a cacophony of strange sounds, followed by the distinctive clatter of security drones malfunctioning. Moments later, Javier returned, slightly disheveled but unharmed. "That buys us maybe 2 minutes before they send actual security officers," he reported. "Almost there," Dante said, making final adjustments to the array's emission foci. "Maya, run the calibration sequence." Maya initiated the sequence, holding her breath as the system processed their modifications. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the control panels lit up with unfamiliar alien symbols. "Did it work?" Javier asked. Priya studied the readouts. "I think it." The door slid open, revealing Scientist Director Krall and a contingent of Vordax security officers. "Sabotage," Krall hissed, mandibles flaring. "The primitives are interfering with the approved solution." "We're implementing an alternative approach," Maya stated calmly, standing her ground. "Your containment field will make the situation worse." "Arrest them," Krall ordered. "All of them, including the traitor species who assisted." The security officers moved forward, but Javier and Dante stepped protectively in front of their alien allies. "Wait," called a new voice from the corridor. Chief Coordinator Veshtal entered, flanked by other syndicate officials. "Explain yourselves, humans." "The anomaly is being artificially manipulated," Maya said without hesitation. "Someone is deliberately destabilizing it, testing its responses. The containment approach will cause catastrophic failure." "Absurd accusations," Krall spat. "They're desperate to prove their species' relevance." "We can prove it," Priya countered, bringing up data on the main display. "These energy signatures show systematic intervention patterns. They're perfectly timed and precisely calibrated, not natural fluctuations." Veshtal studied the display, inner eyelids flickering rapidly. "These patterns match Vordax military testing protocols." All eyes turned to Krall, whose scales had darkened noticeably. "The anomaly presented a unique research opportunity," Krall said defensively. "The Vordax Military Science Division authorized limited experimentation, for defensive purposes only. You risked multiple star systems for weapons research." Razix's gaseous form pulsed with color variations that suggested extreme agitation. "Enough," Veshtal commanded. "The situation remains critical regardless of cause. What exactly have you done to the emission array, humans?" "Reconfigured it to create controlled rupture points around the anomaly's perimeter," Dante explained. "Instead of fighting the energy buildup, we're giving it release valves, controlled paths to discharge the pressure." "Theoretically sound but practically untested," Veshtal observed. "We've run simulations," Maya countered. "Simulations based on primitive understanding," Krall interjected. "Perhaps," Veshtal acknowledged, "but the official solution has been compromised by undisclosed Vordax experimentation. The syndicate leaders studied the humans intently. Your species is unknown to us, your capabilities unproven. Why should we trust your approach?" Javier stepped forward. "Because we've got nothing to gain by being wrong. Earth isn't a major player. We're not seeking military advantage or political position. We just want to solve the problem. And because we understand something you've forgotten," Maya added softly. "Sometimes you need to work with nature, not against it, even quantum nature." A tense silence filled the chamber, broken by urgent alerts from the monitoring systems. The anomaly had begun expanding at an exponential rate. "We're out of time," Veshtal announced. "Human solution authorized. Proceed." Maya nodded to Priya, who activated the reconfigured array. The station hummed with power as the massive energy projectors aligned to their new coordinates. "Creating rupture point 1, Maya announced, watching the readings closely. "Targeting coordinates locked." The array fired, sending a precisely calibrated energy beam toward a specific point near the anomaly's perimeter. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then a small, controlled tear appeared in space-time, a miniature version of the main anomaly. "Energy flow established," Dant reported, monitoring the readings. "Pressure decreasing at the target site." "Rupture point 2, initiating," Maya continued. One by one, they created the controlled release points, each precisely positioned to draw energy away from the main anomaly in a balanced pattern. The assembled aliens watched in stunned silence as the wild fluctuations of the anomaly gradually began to stabilize. "It's working," Lontel observed with wonder in her multitonal voice. "The containment approach would have caused catastrophic failure," Razix noted, tendrils of gas rippling with what might have been satisfaction. "The pressure would have built up until—" "We get it," Krall interrupted sourly. "No need to elaborate. The process took hours, with the humans working in shifts to maintain the precise calibrations needed for each rupture point. Their alien allies provided support, bringing refreshments and offering suggestions when minor adjustments were needed. Even some of the initially skeptical species began to assist, contributing their specialized knowledge to fine-tune the approach. By the time the final rupture point was established, a network of 23 controlled energy release valves surrounded the main anomaly, drawing off excess dimensional pressure in a harmonious pattern that resembled, as Dant pointed out, a quantum pressure relief system. "Final readings confirm stabilization," Maya announced exhaustedly as the last measurements came in. "The anomaly has returned to natural equilibrium state." The chamber erupted in what passed for cheering among dozens of different species, a cacophony of clicks, whistles, harmonic resonances, and light pulses. Veshtal approached the humans. "The Syndicate acknowledges your contribution. Your solution was unexpected. Sometimes the best solutions are," Javier replied with a tired smile. "This outcome will be recorded in the Syndicate archives," Veshtal continued formally. "Humanity has earned recognition among spacefaring civilizations." "Does that mean we get the technology exchange mentioned in the original challenge?" Priya asked bluntly. Veshtal's scales rippled in what the humans had come to recognize as amusement. "Your species is direct. Yes, appropriate technology transfer will be arranged, though perhaps not everything at once. You are still very young." "Young doesn't mean incapable," Maya pointed out. "Clearly," Veshtal acknowledged, "the Syndicate will establish formal relations with Earth. Your planetary leaders will be surprised." "That's putting it mildly," Dant chuckled. The return to Earth was less abrupt than their departure. The humans were given time to say farewell to their alien allies, exchange contact information in forms compatible with human technology, and prepare for the changes their success would bring to their homeworld.